Hey everyone, I'm sure there's been a few times where you've had an electronic item or a small appliance quit working because of a broken wire or poor connection. Instead of fixing it, you might have just thrown it away and bought a new one. So today I will be showing you some simple soldering techniques for the beginner. Today I will be working on a 12-channel audio snake I purchased from a thrift store for $35. The original length of the audio snake was 150 feet, but I really only needed about a 60-foot snake. So I cut off about 90 foot of wire and labeled each individual strand. Some people call these the helping hands, and they are really useful in holding small items while you are trying to solder them. This one also comes with a magnifying glass. Most hardware stores carry soldering irons and their holders. These smaller ones are about 15 watts. They also usually come with a small sponge so you can wipe debris off with. Most of the big electronic and hardware stores sell flux. Sometimes solder comes with the soldering iron if you buy a kit. You can also buy it separately. The old solder contained a much higher percentage of lead, so many people purchased the 90% silver solder. Make sure you purchase the correct solder. There is also a thicker plumbing solder, and you do not want that. You will always want to start with your soldering tip as clean as possible, so first we will dip it into the flux. You can use steel wool to clean off any loose debris. If you have wiring that is made up of small strands, we will first start by tinning it. We will start the tinning by lightly pushing the wire into the flux. In this case, I'll put them in my helping hands. The flux helps the solder flow between the individual strands. First, hold the soldering iron to the wire and you will see the flux melt. You have to make sure the soldering iron has transferred enough heat to make the solder flow. Now all the individual strands become one and are easier to work with. The solder usually hardens within seconds. If you are working on a project which requires the removal of old solder, there are a few methods of doing that. The solder sucker can be very helpful when removing old solder. Just press the plunger, apply it to the hot area, and push. Another very helpful tool for removing old solder is the desoldering braid. It works by drawing old solder up into it when heated with the soldering iron. Just like this. Make sure there are no stray strands of wire when you are checking your solder joint. Give it a good tug if you want to. Here is my finished project.